Hello and welcome back to DiceTillDawn. Hopefully the natural spring light from Finland is now better lighting for this. But okay, anyway, today I'd like to do my first impressions or a review of Zombicide, the Green Horde. I got my Kickstarter copy a few weeks ago. Of course, this is only the core box. All the Kickstarter goodies are coming in June at the moment. So this is basically what you will get if you get the same box from the retail. So this is good that way. But yeah, so let's start with Zombicide. And first of all, I haven't played any of the earlier Zombicides, so I will only be talking about my impressions of the Green Horde. And let's start with components. Well, usual cool mini or not. Quality is here. I think the minis are plenty of them, and I like it that the orcs are now of this green plastic, which is thematic, and if you don't want to paint them, they are still green right away. So that's cool, but of course I would like to paint them at some point, maybe even at least a quick wash or something. But anyway, the minis are great, and there are quite a few poses and just nice. Of course, maybe one little complaint is that the runners and the walkers are sometimes a little bit hard to tell apart. So that's maybe some point where you would like to actually paint them to make them stand out a little bit more. You can make them apart, but if they are in a huge lump in the table that they usually are, it's sometimes a bit annoying to move them. Other than that, there's very little components actually. There's 2 decks of cards and a few dice and some tokens for different hedges and barriers and spawn points and doors. But not much actually. Pretty easy to set up and store away. But all in all, the components are very nice. Well, 10 gameplay. Well, it's very simple. As probably many of you know, this is basically kind of like a beer and pretzels game where you just have fun with your friends, throw some dice and see what happens basically, because there's no high tactical strategy here or whatever it is. It's basically just do a few actions and see what happens, and throw some dice around and try to kill a lot of orcs or zombie orcs here, and just have fun while doing it. And there are 10 scenarios in the box. They are a bit similar. I haven't tried all of them, but the ones that I've played, they are a bit similar, so they feel the same in many sense, but there are some cool neat twists there, and still this is such a simple game that it's still fun to just go through the scenarios. There are some things. I think this is best for 2 or 3 players, because there is the possibility of player elimination. Some scenarios don't have it. Some scenarios just if one player dies, it's over. But most of them have player elimination, and playing a 6-player game is long, and maybe it's possible in this game that you'll die in your second turn or even your first turn if all goes horribly. So that's very annoying if that happens, and then you would be just sitting there. But if you're playing with 2 players, you would each control 3 characters, and with 3 players, each player controls 2, and it's fun and quicker and faster. And even if a few of you die, there's still something for you to do. I played a 5-player game, and when someone died, we just gave the 1 extra character to that player, and then it was all right. And it's not a huge deal, but player elimination can be a problem if you think that this is your big group game, and it might be that it's 2 hours and the first player dies right away. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, this is very swingy, of course, because basically there's a lot of things that are swingy. First of all, there are spawns when you draw these cards that tell you what spawns. Well, of course, they have these levels that the further you are in your experience levels, the higher the spawn will be. But it's enough that even one player is on the like yellow level or orange level. If all the others are 0 XP and one guy is like very much ahead, that means that you will get a huge amount of enemies and tough enemies to fight, even though all the other guys are just newbies. So you have to control your experience so that no one is too much ahead. Well, that's a cool concept, and you have to like think what you do. So I do like it, but it can be very swingy, especially if you make just that 1 XP too much and the next spawns are horrible. It can actually cost you the game basically. And there's this new mechanic for Zombicide, I think new, of the Horde, which is a cool idea. It's basically whenever something spawns, be it runners or walkers or these fatties, you add one more to the side of the table. And when you draw a card that says enter the Horde, you pick up all this whole group and spawn it in that point. This can be 20 figures at the same time. I have seen that happen, and it ends the spawning. And that's a good thing, but also sometimes a bad thing. For example, in one scenario I drew 4 of these in a row, which meant 4 turns I had no spawns at all, since the Horde was empty. Except the first one, of course. And that was just like, yeah, right. Well, because it feels cheap, but I think it's a good balancing mechanism usually. Of course, not when there's 4 of those. But then again, I've also had those situations when there's like the exact amount, and then it comes as the last spawn anyway. So it just piles on, and just starts getting extra activations, and everything just dies. So that's very swingy. And of course you are throwing dice, and these new fatties, which are like the biggest normal monster, they do 3 damage, which is the same as the amount of hit points a hero has. So basically, if you don't have an armor and they activate in your spot, you're just dead. And armor is actually pretty hard to come by. There's not that many in the deck, and usually 1 or 2 of your guys only have armor. So, and even that isn't a sure bet, because usually it's like 50-50 if it will counter the hit. So basically a fatty will one-shot you most of the time. So of course you have to look for it, but again, as I said, those swingy combinations that give them extra activations and maybe pile it on can just mean that you died instantly, without anything you could have done better or just thought of it or anything. But still, it's quick and pretty quick and fun, so it's not a huge problem, and you have to like think about it when you're starting it, that this will be a fun dice thrower and not a like tactical game actually. Well, so as I said, it's not for everyone, but it is fun. At its best points, it's actually very hilarious and fun, just throwing these dice and killing like a huge amount of zombies in one turn. And there are those cheer moments when a few of you manage to actually clear an area and open the door and see that there's only one orc and the objective is found, and then you have to run to the other side of the table, and it's just these cool moments every now and then. But then there are also those moments that it's just like, okay. But I have one big negative for this game. It's such a big negative that I have to house rule it, or maybe even get rid of the game at some point. Not yet, of course, because I want to play it, but it's the splitting rule, and it's infamous from what I've read online. Anyway, but I think it's even worse here, because what I've seen from Black Plague, for example, there are many of these like just long corridors which don't usually cause that much splitting. But basically this game has a rule that if a zombie has 2 different paths, when they don't see anyone, they go to a spot where there's the most noise. Well, if there are 2 different paths that are the equal length, they will divide. Okay, well, makes sense. But then they even add that if there's 3 zombies, for example, of walkers, they divide 1, 1, and then 1, and then you add 1 from outside the box just to make it even. So it's 2, 2, and you add extra zombies this way. It might happen 4 times per round with each of different spots. And this version has this longer and open areas which have these hedges, which are a new mechanic, I think, also, which are nice, but they make it so that almost everywhere is passable, because there are very few buildings and very few areas where you can't actually move. So that makes it just that the splitting happens pretty much every turn and at every point, and it's just a bear. And of course, I'm not even saying that it's unfair that they add the zombies. That's not really my main problem. That feels cheap, but it's not my main problem. The main problem is that it's very annoying to control that. When there's like almost all of the zombies on the table, maybe 20 different areas or 15 zones where there are zombies, and there are 3 different like groups of runners, walkers, or fatties, and then you just think, where do you start moving them? And let's say you start at one point, and then they have to split into 2, but each of those 2 areas also already have zombies before it, so you're always thinking, which ones did I move and which ones did split, and how are these supposed to move, and is this line of sight here, or what is this area? Is this a few of the areas are actually wider. That's something I learned, and it helps a little bit with the splitting because they are longer, so it's faster to move through them. So usually they take that route and don't split as much, but doesn't help a lot actually, but it does help a little bit. Anyway, so it just is just annoying. The game just halts at those points, and it's way too much work than it's fun. So that's pretty annoying. I just hate the rule, and I hate splitting. I would like to just remove it totally, but I'm worried that how the balance is going to work. But I will see what I will make up. But hopefully it's better. I think some of the scenarios are a bit better with it. The first one I think is just horrible with it. So the quest 1, I mean. So, well, anyway, that's just my biggest negative, and one thing that I will always be wary of, and it might actually cost the game for me and might actually get rid of it at some point because of that. Because it's fun and quick dice thrower, but then it just grinds to a halt at these different points in the game, and it's never sure what you are actually supposed to be doing, and it's very annoying. Well, whatever, what else? Well, it's actually fine that I've actually played a few scenarios even solo, because usually I don't like playing multiple characters, but these characters are so easy here, and they don't have any reactions you can do another player's turn or anything like that. So it's basically just that you use all of these 6 characters and then the game works, and then you do it again and all these things. So it's even soloable pretty well. Even though it is 6 characters, it's actually manageable. Well, what else? I think that's pretty much it for my first impressions of the game. I do like it, and I've had fun playing it. I just played it on Saturday, a few games, and just didn't want to stop, and played one more after it. But there were lows, ups and downs, a few pretty big lows and few high five moments kind of thing. So I am enjoying it, but we'll see where it happens where it lands when I get through most of the scenarios, and when I get the Kickstarter exclusives. There's a lot more heroes, which I'm actually looking forward, because there's only 6 heroes in the box, so basically they are all always in the box, always in the game. And also the search deck, the items deck, is actually pretty small, so you can easily just learn all of those cards, and you really want some variety in there. But that's Zombicide, the Green Horde, my quick, hopefully quick enough first impressions. I'm not showing you any gameplay or how to play because there are way better videos and setups to do that, sorry. If people want those, I will try to make something work and try to fix this station so that I could do that kind of videos, but keep me posted if you want more of those. But this is just me talking with you anyway at this point, so thanks for watching. Bye.